Millions of Americans drive to work on a daily basis, drive their vehicles to run errands, and use these vehicles as their main device of transportation. Why do we choose to drive our own personal vehicles from point A to point B instead of using other transportation choices? Is it because it is easier, more accessible? Public transportation just seems like a waste of time? Or is it because we've been trained that driving to places is just simply the way things are? We have been trained to smell the roses through the glass windows of our vehicles. Following the American dream of owning a vehicle has made detrimental impacts on the environment and our own personal lives. My name is Stephanie Dodd, and I'm a full-time student at the University of New Mexico. I have been given a prompt on speaking about issues within our communities and to provide possible solutions that might be in effect in the future. Today, I would like to speak about the ways Santa Fe, New Mexico can prioritize its citizens and tourists by implementing different transportation practices such as walking, biking, or using public transportation. If these practices were to go into effect, the town would not only impact the citizens' quality of life, but improve the city's economic status and lower its carbon emission. Santa Fe, New Mexico is New Mexico's state capital that is 37.45 square miles. The town's population ranges from around 85,000 people. Most of these individuals do in fact drive to work on a daily basis. Founded in 1610, Santa Fe is flooded with rich history and historical architecture. The roads within the town were walked on by thousands of people and continue to attract tourists from all around the world. Santa Fe Historical Town Square is a public space where individuals can create and share their knowledge with many others. The town square attracts many pedestrians and can often become dangerous to navigate through with a vehicle. On warmer days, these spaces are flooded with tourists and locals coming together to celebrate history. The town's high traffic times are typical in areas with large amounts of people driving. Santa Fe, New Mexico is one of the oldest state capitals in America, yet preserving this history is literally run over by the high amounts of vehicles within its borders. Preserving the rich knowledge within Santa Fe can help others from around the world learn about the state of New Mexico. Should Santa Fe prioritize their citizens rather than their vehicles? Should these areas with high pedestrian traffic be blocked off only for pedestrians? How can we promote alternative transportation systems so that Santa Fe will not be overcome with vehicles or the pollution attached to them? A city's goal should be to promote safety for their citizens, whether it be on the road or the pollution above. Santa Fe must create a movement to limit the amount of vehicle traffic within their borders. In order to do this, here are some examples of targeting individuals to make ecologically safer options of commuting between destinations. Curitiba, Brazil is a place where the citizens matter more than their economic status. By prioritizing its citizens, the economy actually improved through their sustainability practices. One practice I would like to see within Santa Fe is Curitiba's public transportation system. More than 80% of travelers use it and limit the amount of carbon and gas emissions by not driving their own cars. This public transportation system is built to improve the time needed to get from point A to point B. The route system is placed in a circular motion where the center of the circle is the center of the city. There are conventional routes, city center routes, night routes, and pro-park routes. These different routes make it easier for travelers to move around the city without having to drive themselves. If Santa Fe were to model their public transportation system like this, there would be a higher amount of people that would use it. In my experience, using the Santa Fe bus routes was very confusing to the point where I just gave up and drove myself. I was also upset by the limited times the bus route has. If I go to work at 3 p.m., I could ride the bus there, but I would still have to drive myself home due to the late hours I work. There are also limited routes to going outside of town. Most people will have to drive in order to get to a bus stop anyways, eliminating the whole reason of taking a public transportation system. Another example of an area prioritizing their citizens is Hamburg, Germany. They promote bike-friendly practices within their city planning to encourage residents to bike from point A to point B rather than driving. They are a very active city which brings people to walk or bike around town. The city of Santa Fe has very small, narrow roads in some parts, which does not allow biking to occur. There is not room to bike through town, and if you do decide to bike, there's always the risk of vehicle biking accidents. Some practices to consider when city planning for Santa Fe is integrating and promoting alternative ways of transportation. By implementing safe pedestrian and bike routes, more citizens would actively use these alternatives. When weather does not permit these routes, an improved public transportation system would be used. The impacts after improving these systems will affect the population in becoming more sustainable and healthier as they are becoming more active about their choices. The impacts for the city will be improving the city's ecological footprint by limiting car access to some areas and encouraging citizens to use alternative transportation systems. Santa Fe, New Mexico already has a 25-year plan into growing their city more economically and sustainably positive. Yet, how can we incorporate these alternative transportation practices quickly and efficiently? Going back to Curitiba, Brazil, Jaime Lerner once shut down the roads to the center of the city and built a pedestrian mall in 2 days. This construction was done quickly to not ruin the businesses already there and to quickly encourage citizens to use this area. I believe we should use this motivation to do the same within the town square of Santa Fe. If we made this area strictly for pedestrians, not only would the businesses benefit, but the pedestrians would become more safe from vehicles. Curitiba quickly moved into making their goals come true, and I believe Santa Fe must take the same step in prioritizing their citizens. To wrap things up, we looked at different places such as Curitiba, Brazil, and Hamburg, Germany, to prove that these goals can be done, and the effects and impacts afterwards are incredibly positive for the city and its members. By effectively improving transportation systems and encouraging community members to bike or walk to their destination will improve the city economically and create a more sustainable environment. Now, after listening to these solutions and issues that have come up, I want you to look around the areas around you and take the walk to your local coffee joint or walk to work, knowing your decisions make great impacts on your community. I hope you found this entertaining or informative, and I hope you decide to make change within your own community. Thank you.